Shanti. Om Shanti. Good evening. Very warm welcome to each one of you for the evening session. So today's topic is self-care. We all have heard the word care, right? Caring comes in different levels. Caring would be like taking care of the family, taking care of the responsibilities, taking care of home, taking care of the schedules, everything. So, but the question to ask oneself is, do I take care of myself? Has that thought ever occurred that I have to take care of myself? Or are we so busy in taking care of others that the self is forgotten? Self-care is equally important. As much as we give importance to others, caring for the self is equally important. When I take care of myself, will I be able to take care of others? Just like if a family is on a road trip, all are keen on taking care of the vehicle they are going in, taking care of the need of the car, maybe taking attention to if the gas is full and other requirements, everything else. But the driver is ignored. The need of the car is different, and the need of the driver is different. So when the driver's needs are not taken care, meaning if the driver is not well rested or not well fed, will that journey be pleasant? Can anyone rely on the driver to take them safely to the destination? Probably not. Same here. Here the driver is the being, the true self, who is using this body, who is running the body. Everything through the body that is performed, the source behind that is the tiny being. So again, one can ask oneself, do I take care of myself in a true sense? Taking care of the self starts with observing oneself in terms of what are my feelings? What are the emotions? Some of them may be coming up on the surface quite so often, and some may be much at deeper level. So one might have to take really time to explore that inner feeling and inner emotion that may be sitting there for long. So when I start to observe the feeling and emotions, the earlier I notice and earlier it is being taken care of, much better it is. Because when I notice certain kind of feeling that is unpleasant, then I can begin to relate to what led me to have such a feeling. What led me to have such an emotion? So probably then I can trace back few steps on the activities of the day, recalling whom I met, what was the conversation like, what was the atmosphere, and gently checking the quality of those conversations, quality of that interactions, because the quality of that interaction leaves an impression, especially if the conversation was something unpleasant involving some criticism, some negativity, something that is not aligned with the true self, then that leaves a negative impact on the subtle being. So that impression or that influence will be the foundation to have a particular kind of feeling or emotion. So when I notice that this is because of that, I see the dot, the connecting dot between the two, then it becomes easy for me to sort it out. So now I know like what is the cause, then I can begin to find a solution or begin to find an method to come out of it. Right? So when I see that interaction or that atmosphere had an influence on the inner world, then I begin to take time to understand. So if that feeling is because of someone said something, someone did something, then I do take time to talk to myself that it is not on the person who said or did something may not be right, but how do I take it? The person who said it may have a reason for it, and that is not my concern to fix the person or to change the person or to improve that person's personality. But that individual comes with the inner personality which is there for some reason. That is that individual's problem. But that problem becomes my problem only if I consume that negativity. So I take few steps so that I am not absorbing another's maybe like anything that is not needed for me, that is not aligned with my true form. So easily I can discern and decide that I don't want to take it in. I create that distance within myself so that I'm not influenced by it. So this comes only when I take time to sit with myself, observe, and connect the dots, what led to this. So only then it happens. But most of the time, first of all, one may not even observe that there is such a feeling. Secondly, even if one observes, there is a tendency to ignore it, tendency to put it aside, and there is a deep inclination to avoid it because it may seem that it is too much work to look into oneself, observe, and try to analyze and try to find an answer to it. it may seem too much work. And one may conveniently say that I'm too busy. I'm too busy to give time for all this. But more busier one is, all the more important it is to pay attention to the inner world, to observe the happenings in the inner world. Or there could be also tendency, even someone observes what there's something, that something is not feeling right. Also, one may try to escape from it by temporarily distracting one's mind and engaging the mind in some other activity. It may be okay for the mind to be distracted and to engage in another activity, but the feeling still remains. The feeling of being let down, or someone's emotions being thrown upon me, so that feeling always remains, and it is just there, ready to spark anytime soon if the same incident repeats. So the sooner I sort it out, I give time, is all the more better for me. And also we may be in a society where everyone feels that taking care of others is more important than taking care of the inner self. When in fact we might have raised all along, even from the childhood, saying that you do well. You have to do well in studies. You have to do well in the job. You have to do well in life. But nobody taught us to be well. When the being is well, then the doing will automatically be well. Because when the doing, the action is performed, coming from the background of being in that true sense of who I am truly, then the action performed externally will definitely be right. So observing and prioritizing, making it a priority, right? I have to get it sorted. I don't want to take this till I go to sleep, and I don't want to carry this to the next day. For this, I have to prioritize to take care of the inner being. So when I look into all this, taking time and sorting it out, definitely it is essential to sit down with myself. It may seem like, what does it mean to sit down with the self? Right? To sitting down with oneself is just giving time for myself. It could be called as me time, right? Taking time out, few minutes in a day. And in that me time, I begin to explore myself, to know myself as I am. The one who is so subtle, and the one who is so full of life, the one who is so very positive and simple and generous and loving and carefree. That is the true personality of the self. So when I sit with myself and explore the truth of myself and experience that, then I know what my true form is. And when I move away from it, I can clearly see the difference. That difference is visible only when I know the truth and that which is not. When I'm being influenced by something external, someone or something that has happened, so when the mind is being disturbed, when the mind is fluctuated, when the mind has moved away from its normal state of being, so then I clearly see that, okay, this is not something right. Because I have the contrast of when I'm feeling good, the truth of myself, and on the other side, what is not. So taking time to sit down, making time, making that a priority to sit down and try to experience oneself. However, we may be occupied with engaging with devices. Not only, yes, certain part of time, yes, I can sit down and dedicate that time. But even when I am like, maybe I go for a walk, or I'm working out at the gym, or even when I'm eating, having the meal, let me take that time to be free from any devices. Any device. We are so used to have these sense organs kept busy to keep listening to something, to seeing something, or to talk to somebody. Hardly we are able to take the senses inward and see what the real world feels like. Do the mind has to be constantly entertained with these devices? Is it possible for me to just go for a walk, just enjoying that nature, just being with myself without need of any other entertainment? Is it possible for me to listen to my own self? There could be, when I begin to listen to myself, I'm able to hear if there is a sound or if there is music. The inner music would be that of contentment, that of appreciation, that of gratitude, that of letting go, right? And the sound would be of complaints and complications, comparison, unpleasantness, unhappiness. There could be sound of that. So only when I step away from external aid that I need, externally to be, external stimulus that is needed to entertain me, but rather I can choose to listen to one's own inner voice. That would be really important. That would be a really important aspect for the self-care. So the more I'm tuned in to the reality of the self, then from that foundation, I come into interaction. Then there is very minimal expectation from anything outside. Because I know that external world, including people and everything else, external world keeps on changing. Change is the norm of this physical world. So when I know that external world is constantly changing, I cannot expect much from that. So I'm prepared for any change that may come up suddenly. When I'm prepared for anything that comes up suddenly, any changes, even that could be near and dear ones, any changes, then I'm easily able to accept it without having an inner conflict. How could this happen? How is it possible for one to be like this? Right? So when someone's even behavior is rude or disrespectful or anything that could be, but the way I take it is left to me. Because I know the uncertainty of everyone and everything, So, because I am ready and prepared for it, even when I see something in other, then I am careful not to be influenced, but I'm prepared to respond. Sometimes it so happens that someone may say something, but there is a tendency in the mind to repeat it so many times. Right? That person would have said once, but I may be repeating 10 to 100 times, hurting myself all the more. Is that really taking care of the self? Why are we so weak? Why do we so easily succumb to others' words and others' behavior and what others think about me? Let there be respect for myself, for who I am, and let it not be based on what others think of me. Let it not be based on how others see me. Their vision, their view is entirely up to them. I have no control over it. But how do I see myself? Seeing myself, again, it is not externally. Maybe the appearance, what I have achieved, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. That is not the seeing. Seeing the being who is ever so beautiful. Let me see myself in that true form and respect myself for who I am. That is true self-care. As was said before, when I truly care for myself without any filters or with however, I have whatever the impression I have been given about myself from others, but truly seeing myself as I am, who I am, and then respecting myself as I am, who I am, and seeing the same in others, that carries a much more weightage than anything else. Also, true self-care includes the aspect of giving selflessly. So we all might have noticed, like simple act of helping, right? Even if someone offers the seat, or even someone let others go ahead, simple act, but there is deep sense of satisfaction in that. It is not giving in terms of physically giving something, but the subtle kindness, subtle gestures, subtle sharings of what I have, that is what I share with others. In that giving, there is simultaneously I'm receiving a lot from that. That is why it is said that giving is receiving. Even in the outside world, people invest, so hoping that they would get in return multifold, or if not doubled, but that is not guaranteed. That is not guaranteed that whatever the investment will be returned double fold. No, but here, whatever I give without any hidden agenda, it is 100% guaranteed that I receive it in multifold. One has to experiment with it. Along with that giving, another aspect of taking care would be to forgive. Having the habit of forgiving oneself and others goes a long way. Just like how that driver, when the driver's needs are met, when the driver is taken care, the journey is, he is reliable, so the journey would be good. Same here. When I forgive others for whatever they have done, As we know, everyone has a story in their life. I may not be knowing what story others have. So, having a big heart and letting go and forgiving them for what they have done, maybe like consciously or unconsciously, whatever that is, I don't need to know the reason. But with a big heart, I forgive them for what they have done and allow them to be who they are. And even when I have committed a mistake, forgiving myself for that mistake and moving on in life is a very, very, very big blessing. Because otherwise, without forgiving, when I hold on to things, that is not good for my well being. Just like how when the fresh produce is kept outside and it is there for a long time, it loses its freshness and begins to rot. Same here. Internally, if I'm holding on to something, someone's mistake or even my own mistake, having that guilt, having that repentance, being remorseful, very, very highly intense emotions on that, around that. So what happens then is there is internally, there is, that gives rise to something similar to what happens to that fresh vegetables and fruits. It takes a different form, and which definitely comes out in my behavior. It could be in the attitude or words or generally attitude towards life itself. Somehow it's definitely is expressed. It doesn't remain hidden. So I have to check myself when I observe myself what is happening in the world, in the inner world. I have to check if is there any underlying unsorted matter that needs to be taken care. Another habit is also, another practice would also be helpful is to journal, writing it down. Maybe at the end of the day, taking few minutes to write down, seeing how the day was, how my behavior was, what was was there any impulsiveness, was there any unnecessary reaction, right? So was there anything that I need to improve? How was my approach when another person disagreed with something? So again, just making a quick observation, writing it down, and if there is anything to improve, making a note of it. Anything lesson to be learned about others, making a note of it. All this helps me not to go through that phase of taking hurt or getting hurt, but to be ready not to get hurt, but be in a position to help others when I am in the true form, in that true sense. Then from that original space, I'll be able to help others. Meaning, I'll be able to help others to recognize themselves who they are. Again, it is not externally recognizing, but recognizing, seeing their true form and coming up from that place of identification. That would be really true caring of the self and of others. In the most of the clothing we buy, right? So it comes with care instructions, right? We all might have noticed. It comes with care instructions. So it says, it gives set of instructions. When one follows that, the originality of that clothing, that could, for example, t-shirt, the original fabric could be maintained for a long time if one follows that care instructions. Similarly, here, when I have a set of instructions to take care of myself, then the journey of this life will be much more beautiful and meaningful. When I take care of myself, because there is harmony within me, then there is naturally harmony in my relationships. We all do want to have beautiful relationships with everyone, not only close family members, but whom we may be working, whom we may be interacting, everyone, to have a general sense of well-being and general sense of, goodness towards others. Everyone likes it, everyone wants it. But only when I take care of myself will I be able to spread that through my thoughts, through my behavior, through my attitude, which in turn brings benefit to everyone around. So let me stop here and let us go into the experience of it through meditation. Om Shanti. Begin to sit comfortably. Preferably not to multitask at this time, but making it a priority to put everything aside and just take few minutes for yourself. Uncross your legs. Uncross your arms if you have. Then begin to relax the feet. Relax the toes. Relax the muscles of the legs. Relax the arms. The hands and fingers. Begin to relax the upper body. Walk the shoulders back. And let the back be straight. Relax the neck. And relax the facial muscles. Completely relax the forehead and eyes. entire body is completely relaxed. I take a deep breath in and deep breath out. One more deep breath. And out. Let me take the attention inwards. And see what is coming up on the surface. To begin with, I check if the mind is really present in the moment, or is it engaged in something else? If the mind is busy with something else, just observe the mind. Not to go into the details, but just to observe. As the attention on the mind increases, the speed of the thoughts begin to reduce. Quieter and quieter. The mind tends to become. Slowly, I begin to observe if there is any feelings that has been carried through the day. Could be of disappointment, could be of being let down or being criticized. Or just feeling to be not good enough. Without going into the details of it, I turn my attention to the being. One who is subtle naturally loving, accepting, carefree, and light, one who is selfless, one who is full of joy, one who is forgiving. This is my true nature. The more I highlight on the true qualities of myself, the more I use them in my interactions, more it becomes my natural nature without any effort. Me using those natural qualities, eternal qualities, it is not dependent on anyone or anything externally. But it is ever present, and constantly flowing to whomever I meet. Being generous and having a big heart. I see everyone else as they are. In their own true form. When I take care of myself, being close to my true qualities, through that I naturally take care of everyone else. first step begins from me being independent, doing well starts with being well. Let me always make that a priority. Om Shanti. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much. It was very, very important stuff to understand. Om
Yes.
Shanti.
Om Shanti. Once we know it, we have to put it into practice, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Om
It
Shanti.
solves a lot of problems after hearing your session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.